Hello. Hi, it's Hils. It's Hils from the Blue Flame Apothecary. So I am here to share with you on the day before the full moon in Libra a different kind of resurrection story. So this weekend marks the celebration of Easter in the Christian calendar. And as I was tuning into the energies for this coming cycle, this week that we're currently in and through the end of April, there's a few things that have been really loud for me. But I kept getting this really strong insistence that Isis wanted to be heard, the goddess Isis. That's the way we'll frame it. She has been speaking to me pretty intensely, and as I was writing the cosmic light drops, there was this moment when she came in, and instead of it simply being about the angles and the aspects, she's currently, for the full moon, forming a grand air trine with the moon and Saturn, and the moon is conjunct Arcturus. So Arcturus, the way station, and one of the halls of records, the Akasha, is involved as well. But she wanted me to tell her story a little bit as well, and as that was happening, I laughed because, her archetype, her energy represents the Divine Mother frequency in a like Mother Mary type of way. It's that bringing creation from nothingness sort of energy. There's so we'll bring it in through Mary because her story is more widely known, it feels like. And the being that she birthed, the Christ, is having his resurrection celebration this weekend. There are many different goddess energies and archetypes, but there are not a ton whose story so intricately involves this idea of divine birth, virgin birth, a conceiving from seemingly nothing, and then the birthing thereof of a god, or a god being, a goddess being, an elevated being. Let's use that word, an elevated being. With Mother Mary, it's the virgin conception of the Christ, and then birthing of this idea of Christ consciousness. We could put it in that way. She was the vessel through which Christ consciousness was born. And this is a similar story to Isis, but Isis is a little bit different because she brings the resurrection in before the birthing. So let's get into her story a little bit, or an aspect of her story. Her story is vast. Isis is the Egyptian creator goddess. And her and her partner Osiris are kind of that. It keeps wanting to be said as like the top echelon of Egyptian royalty, deities. There's many entities, Semet and Amet and Set, Baset, etc. I'm going to list them all here. But Isis and Osiris, though technically siblings, they're partners as well, rulers of Egypt. And Set, their brother, is very jealous, and he keeps trying to kill Osiris. And at one point he kills Osiris, and he puts all the different pieces of him, he dismembers him and puts all of the different pieces in different places. Isis is distraught, and she finds the magic within herself to find all of these broken pieces, these fractured bits of Osiris, and lovingly puts them back together and resurrects him. She remolds him and then brings life back into him. And once the life is back into him, they unite with one another and conceive Horus, the divine god, who is, in many ways, though a god, a symbol of the integrated masculine and feminine. So let's take a moment really quickly, not so quickly, and feel into what this represents, this divine feminine energy lovingly searching and finding all of the fractured, hidden pieces of the divine masculine, reforming them, bringing them all back together, then uniting with them. So you have the uniting of the divine feminine and the divine masculine to create a new being. With that sensing resonating in your being, let's start to feel into what this trine then represents. You have Isis sitting over here in Gemini, which is kind of funny because that's that uniting energy, right? The twins. It's also very fast moving, quick mind sort of energy. And you have the moon full, sitting almost directly on top of Arcturus in Libra, with that balancing and justice and divine relationship sort of energy. Finding a way to balance relationship could be a good way to put that. And I've talked about Arcturus before as the way station, the place where you go to renegotiate your soul contract, where you go to move from one dimensional plane to another. As like a train station. One of the aspects of it in this way is also as the Hall of Records, a sort of library. You could look at it as the Akashic Record, like a dimensional plane that holds the Akashic Records. And the moon, when it's full, is like a flashlight. The way that it came through in the light drop was that the moon is holding a flashlight to help you navigate these halls, like shining a light so that you can navigate these halls. And Saturn has many roles. One of Saturn's roles is as Lord of Karma. So let's put this together. We have an air trine, a grand air trine, which is a beautiful gifting to looking at the way that you think. It's mental body. So how do you perceive the world around you, and how do you perceive those around you, and how do you wish to be perceived by others? What do you think? And how powerful are your thoughts? Can you rewire the way that you think? You have Isis, who is gifting you with this ability to completely reframe, reformat, rewire the way that you think. She's sitting there in Gemini, right? She's all about that mental body. She's saying, hey, there's a different way to think. You've got the Lord of Karma sitting over here in Aquarius and saying, absolutely, you can completely renew your soul contracts now. You can look at the places that sorry, something wants to come in. It's equally fun. It's enormously funny. This is a huge cosmic laugh fest right here. In addition to Saturn being part of this beautiful energy of this trine, Saturn is also almost exactly square the North and South node. And I think I've talked a little bit about this, about the nodes, the lunar nodes. They're like destiny line. They're everything that you have seen and done in every incarnation. That's your South node. And you know, it's also everything, all the karma that you bring with you, all of the collective ancestral baggage that you bring with you. And the North node is where you're going, what you came in here to do, what your truest soul purpose is. So if you think about, or better yet, feel about, although this is an air trine, so you can think about it too. The Lord of Karma is square dancing with your nodes of fate at the same time as the moon is trying to balance and shine a light on Arcturus's lap. And together, Arcturus and the moon, it feels like, are kind of holding the scales of what is best to take with and what needs to leave. Where can you shed something that doesn't need to be there anymore? And Isis is there to take all of these disparate pieces and put them back together so that you can walk into the new, whole and sovereign of yourself. It's fucking beautiful, right? This is all happening, in relationship to the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that we just had on the 12th. And as we're stepping into eclipse season, there's an eclipse at the end of the month. And I'm going to do another video about that. It felt really important that this trine, this beautiful trine with that square connected to it. There's also another square between the sun and moon and Pluto, but we'll get into that later as well. It's an amazing moon. I mean, the skies are really putting on a show for the month of April. Just give me one moment here. It feels like that this is happening, that this is occurring on the weekend that the Christian calendar celebrates the resurrection of the Christ. The way it's coming through is as a reminder that the Christ is not separate from us. It is, we had this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction saying, yeah, wake up. Here's your big spiritual truth. And then right on its heels, Isis comes in to form this beautiful triangle with the moon and Saturn and Arcturus and say, we can all do this. This isn't some special trick that I can do because I'm a goddess now. You're a goddess, and I don't care if you're a man or you're a woman or a they or a declined estate. We are all gods and goddesses. We are all creators of our everything. And it is in some ways through our thoughts that we create. And so there's this ask of us. How can we become more intentional with the way that we think and speak? How can we allow the baggage, the stories that we've told ourselves in our heads, that we've been carrying around and that our parents have given to us and our neighbors have given to us, and the collective history of all of humanity that we know of right now has given to us. How can we allow it to become dismantled so that we can put it back together in a way that actually serves all of us? There's a piece that has been coming through really loudly for me, and it feels like this is where we'll wrap up this energy drop, this frequency drop. And it's that this month in particular, but always, it is about expanding consciousness through expanding compassion. We are starting to see, at least I feel very strongly that a lot of us are starting to see that the problems that exist in our collective society, we have spent a lot of time trying to mentally solve them, and it's not working. I think most people would agree. it's not working. And there's so much disparity and grief, war and violence, and all the things that people hungry, not just for food, but people are hungry. But it's not, we can't think it. We can't think ourselves out of this situation. And we're reaching this point where instead of mentalizing everything, it is through heart consciousness, the expansion of a compassion of heart consciousness, that we will be able to find our common threads that we can weave with one another, that we can find that place of honoring and of love for everyone's unique journey. It almost feels like this particular energy is happening as an air trine in this area of the mental body, as a way of helping us dismantle this chatter so that we can rebuild from the heart and let the heart lead how we think. Almost a reunification of the emotional and the mental bodies to one another. A rebalancing of the mental and the emotional bodies so that they can coexist and nurture and feed one another to help each of us become less hungry, full of heart love, yumminess. Let me just feel if there's any final piece that Isis wants to bring, that the moon wants to bring, that Saturn wants to bring. It's time, dear one. It's time. You have so much love inside of you, so much light inside of you, and it is beautiful. It is beautiful in all the ways, through all the times and through all of the ups and downs that this human life is. Living a life from the heart does not mean that every single thing that you do is going to be perfect by any means. It simply means that when you do something that puts you into a place that is more crunchy, or something, an experience comes in to help you navigate an old pattern or projection that you may have still in your system, you can come back and have compassion for yourself in those moments as well. It feels like this is really where we're being asked to play right now. Like, how can you hold compassion for yourself and for others as we all navigate these falling and crashings of man, as we take ourselves apart and put ourselves back together? There's another aspect that I'm going to get into later, which is that Kali is coming up conjunct to Chiron. She's moving in, and the day before the eclipse on the 29th, she's going to be in an exact conjunction with Chiron. So we'll go into that in a coming video as we get closer to the eclipse, I believe. And if you feel called to, it would be an absolute joy to welcome you into the Apothecary Members Portal at my Patreon. If you enjoy these videos, please do subscribe and ring the little bell so you can get notified. You can also sign up to receive the Cosmic Light Drops energy update. I do those on the lunar cycles, and I'll put a link below for that as well. And the What the Hell Are Light Codes Anyways frequency masterclass, there's an intro here on the YouTube that you can check out, and you can also either as a member get that as part of your membership, or buy it separately, and it turned into a really beautiful practice. The intro is also beautiful, so if that's all you're called to, that is amazing. It's about the journey. If you feel called to journey with me, I'm super, super grateful and honored to hold that space with you and to journey with you. And if you don't, I just wish you so much love and so many blessings on your journey, however it may look. And as always, in all ways, so much love to you from all the dimensions.